Hi everyone, I'm Steve Stoller.
And I'm Shannah Haley, and this is Inside Plano, where we take you behind the scenes of our city.
We'll introduce you to the faces and places who help make this a great place to live.
And give us lots of reasons to love Plano.
Well, good morning, Steve, and welcome to April.
Hello, Shannah. It's so nice to see you.
It's nice to see you too, and I'm so glad you got the blue memo. We didn't even formally file it, yet we both showed up in blue.
How does that happen that we end up wearing the same colors?
I don't know, but it kind of does remind me of April showers, and I'm certainly hoping that it brings lots of Mayflowers, particularly my favorite spring flower, the blue bonnet, because that's the best time to get out on the trails and see all the blue bonnets that are blooming.
And I know you agree with me. Isn't spring one of the best times of the year?
Yes,
It's so
literally, it's
nice,
my favorite.
especially after that winter storm we had. Spring, we have warm temperatures. It's comfortable. We get these nice breezes. I don't know. It's really nice. I'm really excited about it.
I am too. And if that winter storm, if the only positive that comes out of that is that it was finally cold enough to freeze and kill some of the bugs, I'll take that small blessing. I won't take any of the other opportunities that it brought us, but I do like to have fewer bugs because I like to be outside in the spring.
Yeah, let's hope it means fewer mosquitoes, especially.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I don't know about you, Steve, but it feels like it's not necessarily like it used to be, but it feels like the new normal is really starting to come upon us. More people out and about. People seem to be smiling, emerging from cocoons. It's definitely a new day.
I've noticed that there really does appear to be a lot more traffic on the roads,
Mhm.
and going to restaurants and even grocery stores. It seems like there's more people out and about.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that's because we're seeing it's easier to get a vaccine. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's easier. Vaccine supplies continue to increase, and we, anticipate more phases being announced by the state of Texas for people eligible. So it definitely feels like if you want to have the opportunity to get a vaccine, your opportunity awaits you. And I've had my vaccine. I'm super excited about it. I've had first dose. And so by the time we prepare for the May podcast, I'll be done with my second dose too.
Yeah, I'm happy to say I got my second dose last week and I'm now fully vaccinated.
Well, congratulations to
Thank you.
you.
Feels
Well,
good to have both shots behind me.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this has been a very difficult 13, 14 months. And I think we've all learned a lot about ourselves, about our families. For the moms and dads who listen to this podcast, I think you've probably learned a lot about how to educate your kids virtually. It's been a time of transition.
It's hard to believe it's been more than a year.
I know. I know. Well, hey, speaking of a year, it was kind of this year, this time last year, I should say, that I had to make a really difficult decision with my team, and we canceled TEDx Plano, which is a big event. People love it. We sell out every year, and it was such a huge disappointment, kind of the foreshadowing of many things that would be canceled throughout the year and many disappointments that were to come. But I'm super excited to announce that TEDx Plano is back. It's April 10th, and we found a way to do it safely because just because vaccines are on the way doesn't mean that COVID is gone. So we're doing it as a drive-in, very limited tickets available. In fact, all of those have sold out, but we still have a live stream option available. So for individuals who miss TEDx Plano or have never participated and think this year might be a good time to do it, there are very affordable live stream ticket options available on the website. So TEDxPlano.org. Excited about that on April 10th.
And of course, our libraries, they always have events going. It's never too late, Shauna, to think about money management, and
Mhm.
Plano Public Library is here to help. Here's a few things. On April 6th, learn basic wealth building concepts to help you create a plan to meet your financial goals. On April 14th, Bank of America has a program for those who are in college or soon will be. You'll learn what you can do now to manage your money and how to stay on the path to financial independence and health. On April 19th, if you're a teen or have a teen in your life, it's important to learn the importance of good credit. The University of North Texas Student Money Management Center will help teens prepare for success in managing money on your own by learning how credit scores are calculated, credit building tips, credit card pros and cons, and more.
Those will all be great sessions. I think you're right. It's never too early to start learning about money. Another question that we got a lot last year. Happy to announce summer camps are back. Plano Parks and Recreation has put together some really good camp options for families, and they're going to post that information online around the middle of the month, so mid-April. And summer registration will open May 8th if you're a Plano resident. We know not everybody listening to the podcast lives in Plano, so there's a separate registration date for non-residents. Another thing about the month of April, and I mentioned that I love going on the trails and seeing the blue bonnets. It makes me happy. I did not know this until our Parks and Recreation team told us this, but Celebrate Trails Day is in April. It's April 24th, and it was actually started by the Rails to Trails Conservancy in 2013. And it's a nationwide thing, encourages people to get out on the trails. Steve, do you remember last year? We didn't have to really encourage people to get on the trails. Everybody was on the trails all the time. We had to actually deal with it because it got a little crowded on the trails, if I
Right.
remember right.
And we have such a great trail system in Plano, but it was a great opportunity during the pandemic for people to get out and about and practice safe protocols, social distancing. I mean, just a way to get outside and get a really good breath of fresh air.
Well, just because we are seeing the state reopen doesn't mean that we don't want you to still use the trails. Please do. Getting fresh air and getting exercise and seeing your neighbors, spending time with your family is still a great thing to do. There will be lots of things on social media about this from Plano Parks and Rec. So stay in tune with them on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on their website.
So we are hiring. Are you or your teen looking for a summer job that's fun and pays? Want to get outside and make a difference in a child's life? Well, if you're interested in gaining valuable work experience while creating lasting memories with staff and campers, consider working with Plano Parks and Recreation. We have openings for people 16 years and older for the following positions: concession attendants, day camp counselors, day camp coordinator, learn to swim instructors, lifeguards, recreation aides, which are 18 and older, sports camp coordinator, teen adventure coordinator. All those positions are open. You can apply online at www.plano.gov.
Great way to have a summer job for sure, and a lot of fun. And you know what? April, by the way, big day. We have two big days in the year for homeowners. In particular, April 1st is the change to our spring and summer water guidelines. What we want you to do, because the weather is warming up. In the spring, it rains a lot, but then we start to move into drier months. Please water your lawn and landscapes only 2 times a week. And 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., don't water. Those are the hotter times of the day. So water before 10 or after 6 p.m. And if it's raining or is predicted to rain, you don't need to water your yard. Now, I don't know if you use this tool, Steve, but I do. Water My Yard. Oh, yeah. Steve just held up, for those of you who are listening, not watching, held up his phone. I love that tool. It tells you for the week what the forecast is going to look like and how much water your yard needs. So, this particular week that we're recording, there's rain in the forecast, and I got a message from Water My Yard that 0 inches of rain were needed. So, I turned off my sprinkler system. I can also do that through the app on my phone. So, you can find a link to Water My Yard and a link to the watering schedule. All of that is in the show notes to help you out.
Yeah, it's a great service. It really is. I have it set up. I actually just got my email, and just like you said, Shannah, 0 watering needed this week.
Which is great because no one wants to have to pay for water they don't need. And you also don't want fungus growing in your yard from overwatering. Well, Steve, did you realize that there is a bond referendum on the May ballot?
I've heard a few things about it.
I'm sure you have. It's what happens when you work in communications and media relations. Well, today on the podcast, we have a very special guest. Our budget director, Karen Rhodes-Whitley, is going to join us to talk a little bit more about the 2021 bond referendum.
With us now is the Director of Budget and Research, Karen Rhodes-Whitley. Hi, Karen. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome back to Inside Plano. We got a big bond election coming up.
Yes, we do. 364 million May 1st has 6 propositions for the voters to choose from.
Well, let's start off by asking you about the basics. What exactly is a bond?
Well, a bond referendum is just a voting process that gives the voters the power to decide if a municipality should be authorized to raise funds through the sale of bonds. A bond is a long-term borrowing instrument in which a municipality pledges its full faith and credit or the taxing power to repay the debt over a specified term. Now, it's basically like the mortgage on your house. Right now, the average home value is $378,000. Now, I don't have enough cash to just run out and buy a home right now at $378,000. Instead, I'm going to go and take out a mortgage and pay it back over 15, 20, 30 years. Same thing with the city. Right now, our bond referendum totals $364 million. Once again, we do not have $364 million. So we're going to go ask the voters which propositions they want us to go and be approved to issue the debt on. And our debt here, we do 20-year debt. So we will pay this off over 20 years. It's also, real quick, it's important to note on the bond referendum, this is for authorization only. The city council will decide every budget year when they are approving the community investment program, which projects will be built. So this is just the authorization to issue the debt.
Well, let me ask just a follow-up question on that. So when you say authorization for, because bonds can be complicated for people who don't understand, authorization means that we have approval to take out that debt at some point in the future, but over a specified term, but each year the council says it's going to be this much for these projects. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this isn't our first bond referendum, is it, Karen?
Oh, no. I've been here 30 years. We've had several. Just in the last 20 years, though, we've had one every 4 years. However, we did have a small one 2 years ago in 2019, and that was to pay for some capital maintenance projects, some large capital maintenance projects, but our normal bond referendums occur every 4 years. Over the last 20 years, we've had 36 propositions. Only 2 were not passed. The 2 were in 2001. We had gone back to ask for an additional funding for a performing arts center to be built with some other cities. And that did not pass. And then the Collinwood House in 2017 did not pass. So the majority of our propositions do pass.
Karen, what impact could this latest bond referendum have on the taxpayers in Plano?
Well, right now, just built in, we receive our appraised property values from Collin County and Denton County. With the information that we have now, this is today. Also, what also goes into calculating the maximum tax rate impact is the interest rates that are going on now, our appraised property values, the term of the notes. With all that said and done, the information we know now, we are looking at $67.71, and that would not be until 2025. Also, that is to pay for the debt portion. We do have operating and maintenance costs that will be coming on. However, that is assumed we will be paying for that out of the general fund portion. So right now, we're looking at around a 2-cent tax rate increase to go in and pay for the debt. However, I want to emphasize out of the last 30 years of doing this, and there's also a chart on our website that shows this, we have only had to increase the tax rate one time. That was in 2009. That was because of the great economic recession where our assessed property values had majorly plummeted due to the economic recession. So at the end of the day, we always let our voters know what their maximum tax rate impact could be. Whether or not that's going to happen is going to depend on what goes on over the next couple of years.
Well, early on, when you were talking about this bond referendum, you mentioned that there are 6 propositions. Can you explain what a proposition is, what that means?
Well, all a proposition is, it's a proposed measure or legislation or any kind of item that is put on a ballot, and that is what the citizens will either approve or reject. So when they go into the ballot box, they'll have a yes or a no for each of the 6 propositions. So it's just a listing.
Gotcha.
Karen, tell us in general what all the 2021 propositions are about.
Okay, Proposition A is by far our largest. It's for street improvements. It comprises 63% of the $364 million. It totals $231 million. The majority of that package is for concrete street reconstruction and overlay projects at $100 million and residential street and alley repair at $70 million. For those interested, if they will go out on our website, we have a map of all the streets located in the city of Plano. We also have, most people don't know this, the majority, over half of our streets here in Plano are over 30 years old, and they must be taken care of. So that's the majority of that proposition. Proposition B is parks and recreational facilities totaling $81.9 million. This includes both community and neighborhood park renovations, including Bob Woodruff Park and Arbor Hills Nature Preserve, Windhaven Park, just to name a couple of them. Also included are trail replacement and repairs, restroom replacements, a municipal maintenance facility at Shaw Park, and some roof replacements at Courtyard Theater and Plano Center. Proposition C is the Tom Muhlenbeck Center renovation. It totals $15.9 million. This facility is nearing 20 years old. And in fact, once the repairs start taking place, it will be 20 years old. The majority of that, though, is to replace the existing pumps that we have going into the pools there. Proposition D is public safety facilities totaling $27 million. The majority of this one is to repair, remodel, and renovate fire stations 5 and 8. And in addition, provide some fueling stations for our public safety vehicles. We've had 2 different storms over the last couple of years. One was a hurricane and one was the winter storm, and found it very hard to get fuel for our public safety vehicles. So that is included in that. Proposition E is our municipal facility. It totals $5.5 million. This is completely redo our council chambers. We have many American with Disability Acts deficiencies located within that chamber, including acoustical and audio visual improvements that are needed to be done. And then our last one's Proposition F that totals $2.5 million. Replacement of a parking lot at Schimmelfending Library and replace the roofs at Haggard and Parr Library.
And that's a lot. 6 different you said altogether?
6 different ones.
All right.
And once again, the citizens will vote on each one.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So they're each standalone. So
Standalone.
When did you say people will vote on the bond referendum?
Early voting starts April 19th through the 27th. The actual day of the election is Saturday, May 1st. We have provided a listing of all the polling locations for Collin County and Denton County, and it's located on our website at plano.gov /2021 bond. They can find all the polling sites there.
I think you answered my next question. I was going to ask you, where can people go to get more information about the bond election?
Well, they can go there. Right now, we're in the midst of developing a bond video that's going to start April 1st, and that will be available on our PTV network. In addition, we have a bond pamphlet that's coming out in the Community Impact newspaper that should be coming out at the end of March. And once again, we have a wealth of information on our website, and they can always call me or email me. My number's 972-941-7472, or you can reach me at karenr@plano.gov, G-O-V.
So Karen, if they want to reach out to you and say, we've read the materials, but we'd really like a presentation so we can hear about it more in depth, is that something that you and your team will do?
Oh yeah, we have a whole bond roadshow. A lot of our, because of COVID, a lot of them are being conducted via Zoom. Anyway, it's myself who's the budget director. I've got the engineering director, Caleb Thornhill, the facilities manager, Parks and Rec, Ron Smith, and the public works director. And we are more than happy to set something up.
Karen, thank you so much for joining us today on Inside Plano. Great information. And
Yes.
These bond elections are obviously very important for the city of Plano. And we hope that our residents will try and gather as much knowledge as they can before voting on these important issues. Once again, Karen Rhodes-Whitley, our Director of Budget and Research. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, Karen.
Bye-bye.
Well, a lot for voters to consider on the May ballot, because of course we have several council positions up for vote, and then we have those 6 bond propositions. So do your research, make your decisions, and please, we'll see you at the polls. By the way, Steve, another thing that's available on the website that we haven't talked about, we were talking at the beginning of the podcast, things are normalizing. It's getting easier to find a vaccine if you want the opportunity to have a vaccine. Let me tell you where you can find links to providers that we know that are giving vaccine doses. Plano.gov/vaccine. Super easy. It's on the same website, actually, as all of our COVID pages. Lots of appointments open every week. So just kind of follow that page. It takes a little bit of work on your part, but that work is getting easier from week to week.
It seems like every week the list of places where you can get COVID vaccinations is increasing. And now that it's age 50 and above, there's a lot more people eligible. So hopefully they can meet that demand. When I had my second shot, I'll tell you, I went to the Clark Stadium in Plano, and I'll tell you, it was incredibly smooth, very organized. I think I was in and out in probably 20 minutes.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. It seems like they've been doing it now for a while, and it seems like they've got it down to a science.
Seems like everything new has hiccups, and then you work through those challenges and you get into a routine and proceed with that until the next hiccup comes, right?
That's right.
Well, I am super excited that life feels different and fresh and exciting, maybe even a little fun again, careful fun. And, Plano listeners, podcast listeners, Steve and I are here for the fun. We're here for the information, and we'll bring it to you here on Inside Plano. So if you have any questions, comments, or things you'd like to know more about, send us an email at askplano@plano.gov. Until next time, we'll see you right here, same time, same place on Inside Plano.
We love hearing from you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that's it for our Inside Plano. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did doing it.
If you have any comments or suggestions, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Bye.
Talk to you next month. The Inside Plano podcast is brought to you by the City of Plano.